My question is, since there's already a term limit of 2 terms for the office of president, would you support term limits for a member of Congress? And if so, what would those limits you propose? And if not, why?
You know, term limits for members of Congress is a very controversial idea, but at the end of the day, I think it would probably make Congress better. Because if you went to Congress knowing that you had a certain period of time to get things done and to do the right thing for the country, and that was going to be your legacy, not just how many times you could get reelected, then maybe you would make better decisions. You know, there's this sort of perception we have about presidents, which is that they always do their best work in their second term, because they're not worried about getting reelected, they're just trying to do the right thing for the country. Well, maybe if we had term limits on Congress, that would help as well. Now, I know that I'm going to make a lot of members of Congress, my colleagues, upset by saying this, but the fact of the matter is that Congress isn't working right now. I mean, how many of you think that Congress is just knocking it out of the park, like just totally killing it, right? No, right? No, it's not. When I got elected, one of the first things I did is I brought in as a chief of staff a startup executive, because I was like, we need to totally rethink this. You know, I got this little handbook about this is the way that you do Congress the way everybody else does Congress. And I'm like, why would I want to do Congress the way everybody else is doing Congress? So we need to change. We need to change the system. Maybe term limits won't be necessary if we make some other reforms, but it's something that absolutely should be on the table, because I think it would make Congress stronger and better. And it would remind members of Congress that they're there to do what's right for the country, not what's right for their reelection.
Thank you.
A specific
Thanks.
limit on terms, though? A number?
Oh, you know, this has been thrown around a lot. People have talked about 3 or 4 terms for members of the House, but actually what I think would really make sense is to lengthen the terms. So right now, members of the House have to get reelected every 2 years. That means that what do you do on election day? You start campaigning. You literally start campaigning, start raising money for your next reelection. I mean, there are people who are in tough districts who their opponent announces before they're even reelected, right? And so I think it would make sense to lengthen the terms from 2 years to 4 years, but then set a limit of just 3 or 4 terms. The reason we had 2-year term limits was because back in the day, when it took a couple weeks to get to Washington from some parts of the country, they said, well, we want to make sure that representatives check in with their districts at least once every 2 years. So that's just not an issue anymore. So there are times when we need to sort of evolve with the times, and I think this is one of them.